Now, part of what is still will seem off to you by looking at this is something I mentioned earlier. There's no scattering going through here right now. It's as if there's like a glass red thing with all this smoke on top of it. And that's not, we don't want that. We want this to actually feel integrated into each other. So for that, we were going to want to bring our volume light online now. All right. We can bring this light back on because why not? This will just bring back the shadows and lighting and all that good stuff. And what do I mean by bringing your volume light online? Well, I just mean let's make it. So basically select your volume, like so. Click volume light from our lighting and cameras shelf here. Ta-da! And it creates a volume light. And volume light is essentially an area light of sorts, except that it's based off of geometry. The geometry in this case is simply the volume we had selected. That's, the very volume that we're rendering in the first place. Via the shader that we've been tweaking this whole time, and it put it there automatically because, it's set on here. Via the shader, it's going to know what colors the volume should be. And it's going to, while it's shading itself, it's going to actually cast light out from those bright spots. We'll just keep all the defaults the way they are. That's probably fine for now. One thing I always check, and it's right, we do want it to attenuate. We do want the light to fall off quadratically. The light will also be subject to the normal rules of shadows. It's still going to do ray trace shadows going through our thing here. Cool. So let's just see what that looks like. As you can imagine, it's bright, but I have a feeling that it's not going to go particularly far through this because, the smoke is super dense. Remember, we've scaled it to be a factor of 16. So while that has been fine to make it look cool in terms of all these other lights, it's certainly going to block a lot of the light coming from the geometry light now. But let's just see if that is actually the case or not. All right, so as you'll probably notice, the volume light will significantly, unfortunately, slow your render down, but it'll look a lot better. So far, it doesn't actually look a lot better. You can see this super bright area down here is casting some light onto it. But again, the smoke is just so dense at 16 that just not much is getting through. So that's something we're going to fix. Also, again, this whiteness, a little too much right now. Let's see if we can bring that down with the shader over here with the burn here. Manipulates the high end of the generated intensity. So by moving this to a negative side here, this will start to pull back on that higher part. It should bring it back down. At the same time, the volume again is just not nearly enough. The volume light rather. The intensity is at 1 right now. I'm gonna say I don't know, maybe let's jump up to 8, because that's half of the actual smoke intensity. So let's see what we get. So we want to see two things. I want to see this kind of come down a little bit without affecting everybody else that much. And I also want to see some actual, reds and oranges moving into the smoke itself. So let's see what we get. So here we are with the intensity of 8 on our volume light. You can really see it now. Look at that. It's getting all cast into here. You can especially see it up here on the undersides of this chunk of smoke. You can see the red on the underside, but not the top side of it. And obviously, especially anywhere over here and here where it's not even close to fire, it just stays the same. So it's like a subsurface scattering look. It makes it feel more alive, kind of like blood under the skin. And we got light underneath the surface of whatever the surface of an explosion would be called. Now, we were unable to bring this light down as much as I thought we would. This is kind of the benefit of having the temperature scale here being set to 1 before. So we did all of our temperature business with this. Now we can go to the temperature scale here and just bring it down. The overall thing, whatever we did there, all that texturing that we did there, I'm just going to bring that, say, you know what, let's pull it all back. Just pull it back like 25%. So what we'll see from that is we'll see everything is going to go, all this yellow is going to move more towards the red, all of the orange is going to move maybe even past the red into almost fading out kind of look. Some of the smoke might come back, and that's fine because as I've been saying, this still seemed a little too bright, too chaotic for how far along we are into the simulation by frame 37 here. So we'll probably just end up taking out two problems at once. The first being, of course, again, this white, I want to bring this down. We know there's detail in there just by bringing the brightness down. But I want to see this kind of turn yellow a little bit. So this should probably be the last test frame that we do for this. And we're just crossing our fingers for that. And then we'll move on to the Mantra image planes. And then, yeah, see, there it goes. And then to our render. So there we go. So it's moving some of the yellow back a little bit. We still have our texture goodness. Even this looked a little weird before, and now this makes more sense to me anyway. Cool. So it's kind of like crusty and brown on the sides here, and we still have our hot spots, as you can see. They're still here. They're just a little less hot than before is all. So we'll just let this finish. In fact, even while it's doing that, I wonder if I can get away with this. I want to check out real quick in like an earlier frame. Let's say if we go to like 12 when this will be much smaller. I want to do like a quick interactive in viewport interactive thing here. I just want to make sure that whatever explosion we're getting here is not too blown out at the cache from before, so we can ignore that. We can enjoy this render while we wait. But yeah, so you can see over here the difference already. It's still bright, it's still orange. We can still boost this in comp if we think we need to, but I don't think we're going to need to. This looks more like a flame now than a just crazy white, blown out thing. So that's looking even more subtly nice than before. Tweak, tweak, tweak. This is finally getting going. My poor computer can't handle, I guess, doing this and that at the same time. So I'm just going to pause this for, oh, there it goes, right when I said that. Okay, so it's bright, but not crazy bright. It's not, I don't feel like we're losing too much detail. We have these hot spots, but, it's early in the explosion. It's the hottest it's ever going to be is right here. I'd say that's fine. Wonderful. So I'm not even gonna let this finish actually. Let's just move right on to the Mantra planes, and then we'll be able to render this whole thing overnight.